Hey guys, thanks for joining me today on this week's episode. Today I'm going to tell you all about the rig that I use for worship on Sunday mornings and why I've put it together this way. Just like a lot of you, I've spent a lot of time building out my rig just how I wanted it to be. There's some things that I'd probably change on it a little bit, but I have it built specifically for what I'm doing on Sunday mornings and for how I'm running worship and all that. As a worship leader, I need to make sure that this board works for me while I'm singing and while I'm leading a room as well. My main guitar is a Gretsch Pro Jet. I've had this guitar for just over a year. It was actually a gift from my wife when I got offered the job at Peak City. So I love this guitar. I play it every Sunday unless there's something wrong or unless I just decide to switch up. And it's been a great guitar. I just recently had to have my switch replaced because it was going bad, and I just had a nice setup done on it, so it plays fantastically. It's got the Bigsby bridge on it, so when I'm doing swells, you get that nice little bend that you can do in there. I'm not doing anything crazy with it, but I really do love this guitar. My second guitar is an Ibanez AGR73-T. It plays great. I call her Dolores. She's really pretty. She's white with the gold and black trim on it. She's that proper Southern lady, as it were, and she just sounds great. The original pickups that were in this guitar were a little too spread apart. The bridge pickup was really bright, and the neck was really dark, and it was hard to get a good blend or good usage switching back and forth between those two. So I replaced them and I put in a couple of the Filtertrons. The Gretsch Filtertrons, they sound great. It's a much cleaner sound than what I had previously. So I love playing this guitar too, and she's super pretty. The last guitar that I have, and I haven't played it in a long time, and I still do play it though, I have a Samick double humbucker Telecaster. Now, you're asking two things. Why do I have a Samick, and why is it dual humbucker as a Telecaster? This is what I'd call my Florida hardcore guitar. It's black on black, the black pickguard with the black paint. I've had this guitar for about 15 years now, maybe a little longer even, and this guitar has been a workhorse for me in a lot of the bands that I was in, whether it have been the punk bands I was in, the hardcore bands, the pop bands, whatever it was. This guitar has served me extremely well, and I got lucky. It was one of those ones that right out of the box was just great. I did a quick setup on it, and for 200 bucks, I had a really great guitar that's lasted me a long time. The only thing I've ever done is I've had the pots cleaned, and I've replaced the switch. It's the same pickups from when I bought it, and they sound great. They're hot, they're punchy, it's a really great guitar that I got lucky with for only 200 bucks. So that guitar is never gonna leave me. I've had it for a long time and no one's gonna take it away from me. I did play her quite a bit for a lot of worship stuff at previous churches, but now that I've got the Gretsch, it more fits the style a little better, and that's what I'm playing. Let me tell you about my amps. Now the amp that I want to be using is my Fender Blues Deluxe. It's a 40 watt amp, single 12. It's so clean, it's so crisp. It's got that great Fender sound to it, just a really pretty, pristine cleans in it. And because it's 40 watt, it doesn't break up quite as fast as some other lower wattage models, but I can still get it to break up. And that's what I want in an amp. I'd rather have a good clean amp that then I can run my pedals in and manipulate how I want, rather than have an amp that has a bunch of stuff on it. So it's a really fantastic clean, but I don't use it right now. Here's why. Portable church. She's heavy. Fender amps are always really heavy, and it's a lot to cart back and forth with that amp. The other reason is she's really loud, and so in a relatively smaller space, even trying to isolate it in the back and all these other things, there just wasn't a good way to run this amp quiet and get what I wanted out of it in that space. So maybe one day when we get our own building and I have more space to use it, I'll put it in a good isolation cab and I'll get back to using my Fender amp. But for right now, what I'm using is the Avid ElevenRack. Here's why. For a little while, I was running the HD 500X for our services. I don't particularly like using digital processing boards. I'm a little bit more of an old school. I want my pedals. I want to know when I turn this knob, I know what it's doing. And I really just don't have the patience or the time to program a setup like that really well. I did have some good sounds in it. It was nice that it went direct into the system, but I just really didn't like using it. And I know a lot of people are talking about switching over to, the Helix. A lot of people love the Helix. I'm not dogging the Helix at all. It's a great sounding pedal. It's just not for me. I don't like having to do all of those setups. I know I can go find patches and all that sort of thing, but it's not for me. What I like is having my pedals at my feet. So I got the ElevenRack. Actually, I got it for $185, brand new. And that's because I work at this AV company, so I was able to get it at cost. And the price just dropped on it this past Christmas. So right now, it's $300 brand new on Sweetwater that you can get with the Pro Tools First software, I believe. So you can load a little bit of Pro Tools on your computer as well. And for 300 bucks, it's a great modeling amp. I get pretty good sound out of it, and I think right now I have it set to kind of a Blues Junior type of a profile. So keeping it clean, just like I run my Fender amp, I wanted to do the same thing that I could then feed my pedals into. And this amp does a really good job, and at this price point, it can't be beat. I know there's a Kemper. I'd like to get a Kemper someday, but I don't have $1,700 to spend on a guitar modeling head right now. It's just not in the budget. So the ElevenRack is working great. And actually, I'll probably get a second one for the church at some point in time and just build it into our system. Guitar player comes in, they can bring their pedals and they can run direct into that, pick their profile amp or whatever they want, and have a good setup right off the bat walking in our portable type of setup. Just a thought that I have. I'll probably do that in the next few months to make that kind of a change in our space. Now, what you all been waiting for, let me tell you a little bit about my pedal board. Let's take a look. Sorry. Hold on. Let me worship up real quick. There, that's better. All right, let's go. So this is my pedal board, and it works really, really well for me. There are some things I'm thinking about changing on it, but for right now, it's doing the job, and it's doing the job I want really well. So let me tell you a little bit about it. I'm running on a Pedal Train Nova 24. It's a great size for everything that I need and really serves the purposes and fits what I need on it. I've got a little extra space. I'll probably tighten some things up. There are some other pieces I want to add to this. This should give me the space that I need to be able to get what I want out of it. I'll tell you what those pieces are I want to add here in a little bit. My signal starts with the Line 6 Relay G30. This is a great wireless system. The signal is hotter with this than if I run a cable in direct from my guitar. It's a great little unit. We have a Sennheiser wireless unit for the church that I was using for a little while, but it's got a really big receiver on it. It didn't fit on my board the way I wanted it to. So I'd have to set it up separately on all the side, and it was just slowing things down, taking up extra space, and I needed to be a little bit more mobile than that, especially in this setup teardown church. So I bought this unit. It's like 200 bucks. Once again, I was able to use my connections through my job and get it for a little cheaper. But it's a great wireless unit. You might want to check one out. The first place it goes is over here to this compressor. This is the Joyo Dyna compressor. It's not the best. It's one that I've had for a little bit. It was cheap when I got it. I had another compressor on my board, but it got stolen. I had the MXR compressor. It got stolen along with some other stuff, and I just didn't rebuy another compressor because I had this one sitting here. So I'm using my compressor really to start my signal being as even as possible. Everything comes in there, evens everything out first, and adds a little bit of sustain, not too much. I don't really like the level on this. The level that brings it kind of brings your volume back up. It gets really dirty really quickly, and I don't like that, didn't like that. So that's why I go to this little guy right here, the TC Electronics Spark Boost. This little guy is great. It's a really clean boost. So I use this to bring my level back up to where I like it, so that I get a good flow of signal through the rest of my pedals. That's a great little pedal. It's like 50 bucks. If you don't have a boost pedal, that's a good place to start with one. I could use it as a boost if I was doing some leads and things like that, but I'm not. I use it for this purpose, to strengthen my signal going in as I continue through my board. Now, for a little bit now, you've probably been looking at this beast and wondering what this is. It's just a volume pedal, a really big volume pedal. It's the Fender volume pedal. I have it because my brother got it for me as a gift, and I really like it actually. It works really well. A lot of you probably have the Ernie Ball VP Junior on your board. They have a tipping point. As you start to roll up, there's a tipping point that it hits that then the volume kicks on. It's somewhere in the roll, right at the beginning, early on in it, and then you have your volume swell. The nice thing about this Fender pedal is it's consistent all the way through. So all the way down is 0, and as soon as you start to move, you're starting to get that swell in. So it has made my swells a lot more even, but it's a tank. It's massive. It's really heavy. So I'm probably going to consolidate down to something a little smaller so that I can fit on some other things. I do use the tuner out off of it to hit the Polytune 2 Noir. Of course I'm black, I had to get the black one. I got used to the Boss TU2 and the TU3, which are just really consistent, great tuners. This one tunes really well, but there's just some quirks about it that I'm getting used to. Some of the way that the display works that I don't fully understand. I do have a little bit of issue every now and then. You can let me know if you have this same issue. My low E doesn't always want to tune, like I have to hit it really hard, so I don't know if it's just not registering properly. If you know anything about it, hit me up in the comments, let me know what you think. After I leave my volume pedal, I come down first and I have the Fulltone Fuldrive 2. A lot of you probably have this same pedal. Why? Because it's just a great pedal. Lots of people love this pedal. I love this pedal. I've had it for a long time and it's been on just about every iteration of my board. This starts my gain stages here. Now I'm the type of guy, even though I played metal growing up and hardcore stuff, I don't like distortion pedals, just straight distortion pedals. I would rather stack overdrives to get to a thicker sound that I want. I feel it's cleaner that way, not as gritty, and I'd rather have a nice warm, full, thick sound than I would just a dirty, gritty sound. So I start with the Fuldrive, and then I'll use the boost section as my next gain stage if I need to add a little bit more aggressiveness to whatever song we're playing. Once I come out of the Fuldrive, I come up to this pedal. It's the green Rhino Way Huge. Not a lot of people talk about the Way Huge pedals. I'd love to see him use more. I love this guy. Great cost once again, but this pedal is super warm. It's such a good overdrive pedal. It's nice and thick and warm, and you can make it really heavy if you want to. You can draw it back. It's a great pedal, so I kind of use that as my third stage, but I could stack all three of these levels and get a pretty thick, hardcore-y type of sound out of it if I wanted to, or something a little bit more overdriven. But that green Rhino is a great pedal. I'd suggest you go check them out. I might even add some other Way Huge pedals on my board just because they are, I really love this one and it sounds really great. After I leave the green Rhino, I head into the Timeline. Let me be honest, I don't know a whole lot about the Timeline right now. I'm using it to its minimal capabilities. And that's because I only recently got it. I haven't had it for that long. Before I had the Timeline, I had upgraded from the DD20 to the Eventide Time Factor. The only reason I don't have the Time Factor now is because it was one of the things that got stolen on that board several months ago. But honestly, I'm not even using a tenth of what it's capable of, I know. And then out of there, I leave and I head over to the Holy Grail Reverb. Really good reverb, sounds great. Nothing super special to say about that. It's set to spring reverb right now, and you know, it sounds great. It's on most of the time to give a little bit more space to what I'm doing. Now, something I really want to add to this is I miss having a looper. I had a Joyo looper for a while. I got rid of it when I got rid of the PT Pro board, but I'm looking to maybe get one of the Boss loopers on here. I'd love to be able to do that because then I can program all of my songs in and have different banks for each song and then different sounds within that bank for each different section. It would get rid of a lot of pedal dancing. It would allow me to use the Timeline to more of its full capacity because I could set different delays all in it. With the push of one button, I could switch to that new delay for a new time signature, get a new distortion sound, all that sort of things, and really minimize the pedal dancing that we all hate doing when we're trying to lead a room in worship. If you've got one you want to let me borrow, I wouldn't turn that down. At some point in time, I'm going to switch out my compressor. There's probably some other distortions and things like that I'd like to try out, but this is working for me really well. I mean, it's got the staples on it, it's got what I need. It's simplified down for what I'm doing right now, and it's really simple to move with. I have my 11-rack and a 2-rack space case that's got a handle that carries with me. My board is in its bag. It's really simple. I grab my Gretsch in a soft bag, throw it over my shoulder, and I'm out the door. I've got several other things that I've got to take with me on a Sunday morning too. And I'll tell you all about that, what I carry with me, what comes home with me all the time since we're portable. I'll tell you all about that in another video. I wanted to get to my setup. Roast it if you want to. I'm not shy. You're not gonna hurt my feelings or whatever. You can tell me it sucks if you want to. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. This is working really great for me, and I actually may have made the mistake of telling my wife that she can say no if I ask to buy any more musical equipment for a little while. That was probably a bad plan, but I didn't say I couldn't buy more camera gear. Comment below, let me know what you think. Show me your rigs. I'd love to see what you guys are using. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about why you're using your stuff. That's something I don't see a whole lot. Why are you using what you're using? I'd love to know, or something that you think I'm missing that I should add to this. Subscribe, please share all of this sort of stuff. I'm just trying to build this channel right now, and I'm loving seeing you guys join in. I'll be back next time with another video, and I'll go ahead and tease the next one for you. The next one's gonna be called Being Black in a White Church, and I'll just leave that there. We'll see you guys next time.